A court in Greece has found the leaders of the country's far-right Golden Dawn Party guilty of running a criminal organization. They face up to 15 years in prison. A supporter of the group was also convicted of the murder of an anti-fascist rapper in 2013. Outside of the courthouse, police fired tear gas as scuffles broke out at a rally attended by thousands of anti-fascist protesters. The guilty verdicts cap a marathon 5-year trial with almost 70 defendants.
It's an old phrase that I recall hearing or reading as a child. Beware Greeks bearing gifts. Reference, of course, to the Trojan horse episode, where the Greek soldiers piled up into a wooden horse and were able to infiltrate a city and take it over thousands of years ago. It appears to me we've received another gift from the Greeks, but this one's a good one. There's a story that's coming out now in international news that talks about a trial that is just finished up in Athens. And it was a trial over members of a Greek political party, they call themselves. They're actually a very far-right extremist group called Golden Dawn. This is a nasty bunch of characters. They beat up immigrants. They're very Islamophobic. Essentially, they're white nationalists. I guess you'd call them Greek nationalists. And they are a very violent bunch. And after a trial in Athens last week wrapped up, the court decided that they were not, in fact, a terrorist group, but rather a criminal organization. And they have sentenced several of the members, this is according to a report in the Balkan Insight. Several of the members were sentenced to 13 years in jail for, quote, leading a criminal organization. Interestingly, most of these Golden Dawn guys were actually former members of parliament. Like I said, they did call themselves a party, and they did run for election and actually held seats in the Greek legislature. There have been a series of violent attacks that Golden Dawn was part of, including a fatal stabbing back in 2013 of a left-wing rapper called Pavlos Fyssas. Now they're going to be in jail for at least 13 years, which is fairly significant if you think about it. The reason why I'm bringing this to you today is that I find the Greek approach to be absolutely fascinating and maybe a lesson for the rest of us here in the West. That lesson? Maybe there are better ways to prosecute terrorism. You all know that, or at least here in Canada, we have a hell of a time prosecuting terrorism. Yes, it's an offense under the Criminal Code. It starts in Section 83.01 of the Canadian Criminal Code. But in order to prove terrorism, you have to prove ideology. You have to prove that an act was carried out and or planned for the purposes that are defined as ideological, religious, or political. And sometimes that's really tough because you're trying to figure out what was going on in a person's mind, whether or not that underlying ideology was what actually drove him or her to plan or carry out a serious act of violence. What the Greeks have done is said, well, we're not going to do that. We're going to prove not that you're a terrorist group, but that you're an actual criminal organization. And they did that. And they got guilty verdicts, which is great. So this nasty bunch of Golden Dawn wankers aren't going to be killing left-wing rappers. They're not going to be threatening immigrants on the streets of Greece anytime soon. At least the 5 that have been sentenced. There are unfortunately probably thousands of others who, if not members of Golden Dawn, are sympathetic. So this story isn't over, but this is a good start. I've often wondered why we didn't follow something similar here in Canada and other parts of the West. Let's break down terrorism to what it actually is. It's a serious act of violence, planned and or carried out. Could be murder, could be attempted murder, could be assault, it could be mass killing, it could be a massacre, it could be something on the order of 9/11, in which thousands are killed. And it's carried out for the aforementioned ideological, religious, or political reasons. What if we didn't care about the motivation? What if we simply charged it as a garden variety crime, like murder, like attempted murder, like mass murder? Because those facts are easy to identify and to establish. Either a person did or did not kill someone. Either a person did or did not conspire with others to kill a whole bunch of people. Those are facts that are readily available, for the most part. Like any other court case, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt, but the point is that these are bare facts. These are primordial, fundamental elements to crime. They're not complicated by determining motivation, by determining the ideological underpinnings of why the crime was committed or planned to be committed. Why don't we just charge these guys with these crimes? In essence, in a country like Canada, to the best of my knowledge, if you're found guilty of terrorism in that you killed somebody, the sentencing parameters are no different than if you're charged with first-degree or second-degree murder. In other words, a terrorist murder is treated the same as a normal murder, if I can use that term. No murders, of course, are normal. So why do we expend so much effort trying to establish the psychological commitment to a cause that was concomitant with the commission of the act? Why are we bothering when we don't need to? Secondly, if we treat this as just crime, we take away a lot of the oxygen from terrorist movements. Terrorists see themselves not just as murderers, not just as mass killers. They see themselves as the harbingers of a new society, and they want to establish that society through fear and through terror. They want to scare the bejesus out of us so that we will kowtow to their demands, give in to them, or simply stop prosecuting them. If we treated them as basic gutter criminals, which is what they are, we take away all that propaganda. We take away all that stuff they put out about fighting in the name of God. As the jihadis say, jihad fi sabilillah, jihad on the path to Allah. We take away all the garbage that the far right puts out there about white supremacy and white nationalism. We remove the power and the influence that terrorists want to hold over us. And we say, you know what? You guys aren't important. You're not some new idea that's going to change the world. You're just a bunch of common criminals. And we're going to treat you as common criminals. And we're going to try you as common criminals. And we're going to convict you as common criminals. And we're going to throw you in prison with the other common criminals, where you can spout as much propaganda as you want. Chances are, and I've seen this happen in Canada, terrorists that are imprisoned don't get a warm welcome from other prisoners. It's a bit of prison justice, as they say. I don't know if this Greek decision is resonating anywhere else in the world. I've seen it reported in a number of news sources, including the New York Times. I just hope that prosecutors in the West are paying attention. This is another avenue for how to prosecute murder and how to prosecute terrorism. To me, it's a much easier method. As I've mentioned, you don't have to go down that pathway of trying to establish beyond reasonable doubt the reasons why someone did something. You're simply establishing that they did it. We'll see. We'll see if the decision in Greece is picked up anywhere else, makes people think. It wouldn't take away what I do, talking about terrorism. Terrorism still is terrorism. We can talk about it. We can talk about why it happens. We can talk about the goals of terrorists. We can examine propaganda and see what they're trying to say. But when it comes to courtroom cases, we don't need to. We can strip away all that veneer and treat these assholes as the violent individuals they are. They're no different than a criminal gang or a guy on the street who stabs you. They're trying to kill and they're trying to terrorize. Let's treat them as the criminals they are.